10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I have not done this in a while, huh? Welcome to the Rashid Report. My name is Yusuf Rashid, and we're here to talk about sports. I haven't done that in a while because I've been very busy. I was with a wrestling podcast for a bit and taking some time away from that because I need to talk about hockey. Because I miss talking about hockey, so I'm going to talk about hockey. Is that okay? Of course it is. You don't get a say. I do. That's the beauty of the internet. Anyway, I'm wearing my hurricane warning Carolina jersey. Thought I'd wear. I can't wear my Red Wings jersey right now because they're not in the playoffs and they're not looking great. Anyway, that's another story for another time. Let's talk about the thing going on right now. The Stanley Cup Playoffs, my favorite time of the year. Truly, I think the best time in sports. Outside of... No, you know what? The Super Bowl used to be up there for me, but I think, as far as hype, nothing's more intense, nothing's more fun to watch than the Stanley Cup Playoffs, I personally believe. And if you don't know what that is, of course the yearly tournament at the end of every NHL season, the National Hockey League, where 16 teams will qualify. And at the end of 4 rounds, only one will be the last team standing and raise the greatest trophy in sports, the Stanley Cup. And like I said, we had 16 teams start, right? This season's been whack. There are a lot of big surprises that happened. We had 5 Canadian teams make the playoffs this year. Right? Yeah, Calgary and Vancouver didn't, but everyone else did, which is hysterical. Winnipeg won the President's Trophy. Big. Toronto won the division. Big. Montreal made the playoffs after what everyone thought was going to be a down year for them. Big. The Ottawa Senators. Big. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how round 1 is gone. At the time of recording, it is the 2nd of May in 2025. We've gone through most of the first round already, and we have all but 2 teams. Well, let me reword that, actually. There are 2 series left that need to be decided. That, of course, is the Winnipeg Jets and St. Louis Blues in their series in the West, and the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars also in the West in their series. Yeah, they're probably... Well, Colorado-Dallas is going to 7. That's been official now as of last night. And Winnipeg could close it out today, so that'd be exciting. But let's get to that after. Let's first talk about the teams that have been eliminated in a eulogy part, so to speak. Let's do that. First up, the most recent of the eliminations. The Toronto Maple Leafs actually did it. After losing Game 4 in overtime in Ottawa, the Leafs went on to say, it's okay, we'll close it at home. And by that, they meant they'll blow it at home and lose 4-0. But going back to Ottawa last night for Game 6, everyone thought this is either they do it or they're going to blow it in Game 7 in Toronto. And lo and behold, the Toronto Maple Leafs stuck to their guns somehow, got the work done. Willie Nylander with 2 goals and Max Pacioretty with the game winner, number 67 that he wears, by the way, for the Leafs. This is 4th game winner or something like that. It's crazy in the playoffs. Max Pacioretty seals the deal. Willie gets the empty netter, and the Toronto Maple Leafs win Game 6 4-2 and win the series 4-2 and advance to the second round to play the Florida Panthers. Now, let's talk about the Ottawa Senators. The Senators, you put up a good fight. You put up a great fight, actually. I know Steve Dangle was talking about how this is the Battle of Ontario, right? It's not the sweep of Ontario. Because if the Leafs won 4-0, what does that teach them? It doesn't teach them shit. But the Senators put up a great fight in 2 games. One of them they got in overtime. The other they won by shutting him out. And Linus Ullmark looked great in that game, in Game 5. But it's great that you avoided that sweep with an incredible hustle in Game 4 and trying to overcome every possible odd that happened to you in that game, including Drake Batherson getting a double minor for high sticking and causing Chris Tanev to bleed. Being able to penalty kill that in a 5-on-5 overtime situation in the playoffs against the Leafs, bravo. Right. The Ottawa Senators, you guys made the playoffs in what has been a very ridiculous year for the East, truly, because it's just everyone's fighting for those bottom spots, but also no one wants them because no one wanted to play the Capitals. I get it. But for everything you guys had going for you, for the questions of, is Brady Tkachuk a good captain? Is he going to get traded? Is Linus Ullmark really that guy that's going to be, your number 1 goaltender going forward? Things like that. You guys made it work. I got to give credit where credit's due to guys like Artem Zub, Jake Sanderson. You got a blessed defensive core, man. You guys got a really blessed defensive core. You got some great young players on there. Tim Stützle, of course, my personal favorite. They got Dylan Cousins in that trade with Buffalo during the deadline when everyone kind of, myself included, was kind of a head scratcher. Like, why would you trade for Cousins of all people? You're not going to trade for anything like an older player maybe, but hey, it worked out for them. Claude Giroux's been such a great veteran presence for them, which is such a weird thing to say. David Perron, former Red Wing, has been also a great veteran presence for them. He got a nasty goal in Game 6, and I thought that might be it, and tied the game up, and I'm like, oh shit, we're going to overtime. But no, you know what, Senators, hats off to you. You've done such a great job this season, and the future is bright in Ottawa. The future is very bright in Ottawa. It's awesome to see how loud the Canadian Tire Center got in Canada, Ontario. And you guys have a great front office now. Like, Steve Staios looks like he's going to kill someone. That's fine, but he's making good moves. And Michael Andlauer, seeing an owner in the box with his front office, it warms my heart. Like, if I ever became a hockey owner, like a team owner, I'd want to be someone like that. It's nice when you get to see a name to a face to a name. We know about Michael Andlauer. We know how he bought the team and everything like that. And it's nice seeing him around, seeing him at games, seeing him doing pressers. Ottawa, you guys are such a treat, but all good things must come to an end for you. And this is where we say goodbye. So thank you, Ottawa Senators. Following that, I guess we can keep sticking with Canada and teams in Canada. Les Habitants de Montréal, the Montreal Canadiens. The other Canadian team no one really thought would do much in the East. Although it's them in the Leafs, which is funny. But am I missing a team? No. I can't remember now. Yeah, there's only 3. Anyway, not the point. But Montreal, to the Canadiens fans, you guys are so lucky. Truly, you guys are so lucky. Because a lot of people, myself included, especially, with my thinking, watching how the draft has gone for you guys over the years, is it a matter of waiting? Who's going to be the guy in net for you guys? Like, how's that young core going to look in a couple years when you maybe start trying to make the playoffs? And everyone thought this year was going to be one of those years again. It's like they're going to try to make the playoffs and probably not make it. They're going to be bottom of the barrel, get like a top, land somewhere in the top 10 in the draft one of the youngsters that are coming up this year. It's a pretty deep draft too, so like, you never know. But heart and soul, man. Heart and soul. The Montreal Canadiens clawed their way through the East to get there, right? And everyone thought, like, okay, they're going to get swept. It's fine. Even then, you've put up a great fight during this season. I think Nick Suzuki is the perfect captain for you guys. He encapsulates everything it means to be a Canadian. He's the perfect captain for Montreal. And armed with, guys like Cole Caulfield, Uri Slafkovsky is finally coming into his own as a player. Everyone still had like kind of oohs and ahs about him coming out of being drafted first overall in 2022, right? Wow, it's been that long. You've been looking great. Defense-wise, because you have guys like Arbor Xhekaj, who, he's just going to fight people. He's a great enforcer defenseman. I think they're blessed to have someone like that who's willing to put one up for the team and just, do whatever it takes to protect them. Caden Gooley, I still think he's going to be a stud in a year or two. I think give him time. And then fucking Lane Hutson. Oh, God, like, I remember in the beginning of the season, everyone was like, Lane Hutson's overrated and blah, 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 blah. And I go, it's going to be insufferable because Canadians fans won't shut up about him. Yeah, he's made a reason for people not to shut the fuck up about him. He's made a very good, he's winning the Calder, right? He's absolutely winning the Calder. Also, have you seen what his brother, wow, look at me speaking. Have you seen what his brother is doing in college? Cole Hutson? That kid's fucking good. Lane Hutson is what I think the Canadians expected Caden Gooley to be. But they're glad they have Lane Hutson, because also waiting in the wing somewhere in time, he probably gets called up next year, is David Reinbacher. And another year for Caden Gooley to develop, Lane Hutson already coming into his own in his rookie season, and then you have David Reinbacher coming in. That Montreal team's going to be so good. And then net minding. Jakub Dobish, where did you come from? I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. You are such a great add to this Montreal Canadiens team. And I hope that you are potentially one of the guys that net mines this team for the future. Because they need someone after Carey Price, right? And, what's his name? Jacob Fowler? I think that's his name, right? No, it's something Fowler, I think. I might be wrong. I'll fact check myself later. But anyway, Montreal's blessed. You had a great season for the most part. The race to the wild card, good for you guys. I'm glad you did it. I am mad and sad about the Red Wings not getting that wild card spot, but you know what? You guys deserved it. You guys deserve the world. You got your playoff experience. Ivan Demidov is on the team. Like, Montreal is so lucky that a lot of these things that media and fans like myself thought were not going to happen for a couple of years are happening like that. Lane Hudson developed like that. Caden Gooley coming into his own. Juraj Slafkovsky like that now. Cole Caulfield is still a demon, right? He's not gonna stop being a demon. Ivan Demidov, we haven't seen him at his full. Well, actually, that's a lie. Yeah, we did. He got his first goal in his first game. Like, fuck, we know this kid's gonna be good. And we all thought he was gonna be. He won't be here for another 2 to 3 years because of the KHL. Add whoever they get in the draft this year, probably nothing crazy because it's going to be past like 16th overall, I think. But Montreal, you're in such a great spot. So good job. And your series against Washington, putting up a fight like that against the Capitals, watching Josh Anderson fight Tom Wilson into the benches was like art almost. It was beautiful in its own freaky way. But you guys put up a great fight. You didn't get swept, but it didn't go to 7. And that's okay. That's okay. Because losses like this for a team like the Montreal Canadiens, it shouldn't be that, the Habs, like, one of my best friends is a diehard Canadiens fan. She texts me, she's like, I'm done with this team. What do you have to be mad about? They made the playoffs when no one thought they would. They made it this far against the Alexander Ovechkin Washington Capitals. Mr. 895 goals. You got this far in a series against the greatest goal scorer of all time. You have everything to be proud of. Look how this team has grown. Right? How this team is going to grow in the future. The Montreal Canadiens are fine. But Montreal, adieu. Thank you for coming. You had a great time in the first round. The New Jersey Devils, eliminated by the Carolina Hurricanes. You got to admit, you got to give them a round of applause, right? They fought as hard as they could this season, especially with Jack Hughes going down. They did everything they could, and they looked fine for the most part. I think Jacob Markstrom's been great for them. It just needs to work out a little better for them, I think, in their favor. When they're healthy, I think they'll be so much better. And now it's kind of awkward, though, with the offseason, because the Canucks were like, wouldn't it be nice if the Hughes brothers were all in in Vancouver? And everyone's like, no, I don't know how you do that. They have a better chance of getting Quinn than the Canucks have a chance of getting Jack and Luke Hughes. But anyway, you guys did great. You guys had a fun time. You guys put up. It's not easy. No, it's not hard really to say that you put up a fight against the Carolina Hurricanes. Because no offense to the Carolina Hurricanes, they're not the most like goal scoring team, right? They got Mikko Rantanen, and that didn't work out. So then they traded Mikko Rantanen, and they just stuck to being Carolina. They just stuck to be this defensive heavy team. Cool. Yeah, you did great. I think Sheldon Keefe for his first year as the bench boss of the Devils. Good job, Chief Keefe. I can't wait to see what happens in the future with this team and with you in charge. But, they probably make the playoffs again. Yeah. Good job. Goodbye, Devils. The Tampa Bay Lightning. Shit. My phone fell. The Tampa Bay Lightning. What is there to say about a team like the Lightning? Well, they got, I don't want to say, slaughtered, but for lack of a better word, they got manhandled by the Florida Panthers, by their state rival, And everyone thought, oh, Tampa's going to win this in 7. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. There was a chance for that. I get it. I get it, right? Like, I fully understood there was a chance for Tampa to potentially bring this series to 7. But I think, for years I always used to say that the Tampa Bay Lightning are the masters of the play style of anything you can do, we will do better. I witnessed, we witnessed that when they won those back-to-back cups in the pandemic bubble and then the year after, right? Someone was saying, like, Andre Vasilevsky, when he finds out the world is ending, becomes like a god in the net, and then outside of that, like, in the playoffs, he's still one of the best goalies in the world. He is. But to the whole team itself, it was hard to rely on the anything you can do, I can do better theory when they played the Islanders a few years ago in the Eastern Conference Final. They played the trap game better than the Islanders, right? When they played teams like the Leafs, they played the skill game better than the Leafs, the speed game better than the Leafs. The first time they played Florida a couple years ago, the first big battle of Florida, I think the Panthers got either swept or was 4-1 or something. They played the aggressive game better than the Panthers. And then the Panthers said, we're just going to get more aggressive. They got Seth Jones. Yeah, they lost Aaron Ekblad, but that's fine. They got Brad Marchand, right? Sergei Bobrovsky looked incredible. This is about the Lightning, though. The point being is the Tampa Bay Lightning, with this loss, it is hard to say what went wrong for you guys in this series. And that's okay, because you've been historically dominant, or you've been historically good in this decade. Since 2020. They haven't missed the playoffs. They've made the Stanley Cup Final 3 years in a row. Hey, we get it, right? Good for you guys. Good for you. Well, 3 years in a row if you count, 2022. Anyway, it just wasn't enough to overcome this onslaught that Bill Zito has built in Florida. And that's okay. I think it's time to go back to the drawing board and figure out what's next for you guys. And as for their playoff window, for their cup window, I know some people are saying, oh, it's closed. It's closing now. They're getting older. Blah, 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 blah. They're getting, they can't do it anymore. Kucherov's still healthy and fairly young. He's 31, I think, 32. He's not that old. Braden Point, still pretty good. I was about to say Tanner Jeannot. Jake Gensel, that trade's worked out for them pretty well, huh? Or was it a trade or was it a signing? It was a signing. Right. Because he got traded to Carolina, and then they took him out of Carolina. Vasilevsky is still one of the best goalies on the planet. Victor Hedman is still one of the best defensemen on the planet. The man apparently played the series with a broken leg. The Tampa Bay Lightning still have fight in them. As to what happens with John Cooper, for some reason there's rumors that he's going to get traded to... They're traded. He's a coach. Ugh. I am out of it today. There's a rumor that he might be let go, and Boston picks him up or something. No, I doubt it. I don't think they let go of Cooper until they really need to start cleaning house. But to the Lightning, thank you for playing. We'll see you next season. On the Western Front, 2 teams were eliminated yesterday. First off, the Minnesota Wild. On the topic, going back to the Canadiens, the Devils, and the Ottawa Senators, a young team with so much promise. And the Wild are exactly that, with some crazy things going on there. They had such a promising start to this season. They really did. I think they were first in the West at some point, and everyone's like, what the hell? Or they were trailing behind Winnipeg. But they were looking good for a hot minute. And then injuries happened to Kirill Kaprizov, to Joel Eriksson-Ek. Inconsistency with defense. Gustafsson wasn't looking as great. And a lot of it, too, I think a lot of eyes were focused on Minnesota because everyone knew that this was Marc-Andre Fleury's last season. And for the Minnesota Wild, I have just here in my notes, it was hard fought. Like any other season, like any other team, right? No team just coasts. You're fighting for what you want. All right, every team is fighting for a playoff spot. No team intentionally tanks. They're not the 2014-15 Buffalo Sabres. Not intentionally tanking, or the Oilers, They did what they could. they made sure Flower got his moments. Flower got his goodbyes and everything. And part of me got a little emotional yesterday, knowing that was Marc-Andre Fleury's final game in the NHL. What's funny is I was going to make an Alan Walsh joke, but my hat is somewhere in my studio right now. My noted Alan Walsh client hat. Shout out SDPN. Shout out Alan, too. Lovely guy. But they had a great series. Minnesota got into the playoffs. They got the wild card. And unfortunately, getting the wild card meant they had a date with Vegas. And Vegas kind of likes kicking the crap out of Minnesota. But, hey, they took 2 games off the Vegas Golden Knights. So you got 2 wins over the Vegas Golden Knights, and both were 5-2 wins. Like, they're dominating wins. Those are statement wins. It just, unfortunately, at the end of the day, was not enough to take on what is a very physically imposing team in the Vegas Golden Knights, who probably want another cup. Like, they're kind of hungry, you can tell. But Minnesota, thank you. And you guys got a fucking crazy future ahead of you, The dead money from those horrible contracts you guys signed years ago, we're not going to talk about it because if you know, Parisi and Suter. That dead money is finally going to loosen up a lot next season, which gives them a lot of space to sign, get extensions for guys like Kirill Kaprizov, who needs a massive extension. God, he's so good. Brock Faber's already been signed, so you're good. You have other guys coming up that you got to probably get ready for, and guys that are going to be coming out of the AHL that are going to be developing with this team. Not to mention, Philip Gustafson probably wants to get paid soon, assuming he turns out to be the guy. And also, well, not even that, because you have Jesper Wallstedt hanging around in the AHL. Yeah, Jesper Wallstedt hanging around in the NHL. Brock Faber's already on the team, so it's fine. You've got guys like, Matt Boldy. I believe he already got his contract, like his extension, so he's good. Marco Rossi, I really do think Marco Rossi's got something special, but it just has taken too long, and also his health conditions have not been great for him. You have, I already mentioned Matt Boldy. Who else on defense? Carson Lambos is probably going to get called up eventually. Zeev Buium. And then you also got David Jiricek in that trade with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Minnesota will be so cool in like 3 to 4 years. But again, it takes time. It takes time to develop, and it'll be fine. But I think Minnesota will be cool to watch over the next few years. This is just a taste of what we're expecting. No. I think this series for the Minnesota Wild was a taste of what to expect over the next few years from them, if not better. So thank you, Minnesota. Hats off to you. Last but not least, the Los Angeles Kings. I am 23 minutes into recording this, and I am finally done the eulogies with this. How did you guys blow it? How the fuck did you guys actually blow this? Seriously. Like, what the hell went wrong? Okay? You led the first 2 games of this series, and everyone's like, oh my god, they're going to do it. They're going to be the team. They're finally going to get rid of history. They're finally going to change history, and they are going to beat the Oilers once and for all in their 4th playoff matchup against each other. You know how insane that is? I hate this format. But everyone said, this is it. This is the year the Kings are finally going to do it. Kings in 6, Kings in 7, Kings in 6, Kings in 7, Kings in 6, Kings in 7, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if the Oilers can do it. Oh, Stuart Skinner, he's not that great. Oh, Calvin Pickard, he's not that great. Oh, they don't have Matthias Ekholm. Oh, no, what are they going to do? Oh, Vlad Gavrikov is an incredible defenseman. He should be a Red Wing. But Vlad Gavrikov is such a great defenseman. Anze Kopitar is still one of the best centers in the league. Quentin Byfield, blah, blah, blah. Oh, blah, da, 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 da. What happened? You won game 1. You beat the crap out of them in game 2. And then game 3. Game 3. That freaking challenge. Jim Hiller, I don't know if you keep your job after this, but that coach's challenge, I think, shifted the momentum entirely in this game, in this series. And Elliot Friedman said something too. Elliot Friedman was talking about how Quentin Byfield, I think it was in game 2, I can't remember, game 2 or game 3, decided to throw a punch at Connor McDavid. And that's the last person you want to throw a punch at. Because if you get a guy like Connor McDavid angry, he's going to do what Connor McDavid does best, and that is score points and win you games. And then the Kings they proceed to get steamrolled. What happened? You guys had such a great season. Truly, you could have won the West, realistically, if you were smart enough. You know, you guys made a great trade in the Pierre-Luc Dubois-Darcy Kemper trade. Like, that worked out better than anyone thought it would. Getting Darcy Kemper as your netminder, great. But all it takes is a little bit of a momentum shift for things to just fall apart. And the Kings need to kind of look at themselves this offseason and think of what do we need to do better. I don't think they need to make any changes, but what do we need to do better? Plus, they have a lot of aging guys. Drew Doughty's not getting any younger. Anze Kopitar is not getting any younger. For those of you that don't know, and it's not a lot of people, like a handful, most old hockey fans. Well, not old. This is only 11 years ago at this point. Those guys were on those Stanley Cup winning teams in 2012 and 2014. Right? They're not getting any younger. So, it's time to sit down and think about that, LA. And with that is the eulogies for all the teams that have been eliminated so far. We still have, like I said, the Colorado. Wow. The Dallas and Colorado series. What is happening to me today? What is happening to me today? Am I having a stroke? Hope not. We have the Colorado and Dallas series and the Winnipeg and St. Louis series, and I kind of want to talk about those two remaining series and then do quick little predictions for everything else. Let's run that down. All right. So, the remaining two series. First up, let's talk about what might end tonight. How are we doing here? Right? St. Louis and Winnipeg. Winnipeg. Oh, please don't be part of the curse. As much as I really want other teams to win the cup, I kind of want the Jets to win the cup. They came into this playoffs. Well, they came to this season. Questions everywhere. Can they do it? Are they really that good? Is Connor Hellebuyck a fraud? And they kind of kicked the asses of everyone this whole season. Like, if you beat Winnipeg, congratulations. You considered a god in this regular season. Connor Hellebuyck, 47 wins, I think, on the season. 8 shutouts. Of course he's nominated for the Vezina. Of course he's nominated for the Hart. Well, actually, not even. I think him being nominated for the Hart was solidified within the last couple weeks of the season. But it was, it was a talk, right? Like, he's probably getting a Hart nomination. And he did. Good for you, Connor. Not Carter. Oh, no. Good for you, Helly. What happened those first couple games of this series against the St. Louis Blues? You guys got shelled. Well, actually, that's a lie. You got shelled for the first little bit and then somehow came back and then won 5-3. Then you won by 1, and everyone's like, okay, cool. Well, Winnipeg's winning. But everyone's going, yeah, but Connor Hellebuyck's not great goals. Then you got shelled 7-2. Connor got pulled. Then they got pulled again the next game. Didn't he? They lost 5-1. So, yeah, I don't blame people that they're going on the Connor Hellebuyck fraud watch. Jesse Blake. Hey, Jesse. But what do you need to change here? Like, yeah, Game 5 looked great for you guys. You need to win this game. You need to win this game. Because if you go back to Winnipeg, I don't know what happens, right? The Blues have been looking good. They're not incredible, but they look great. They clawed their way back. Things are looking good for them. Jordan Binnington, fucking my hometown of Richmond Hill's own, Jordan Binnington, doing his thing and winning games out of spite. Gold at the Four Nations for Team Canada out of spite. It's awesome. Like, what the Blues have been doing is great, but what changes need to be made for Winnipeg to put the cap on it and call this series and go on to round 2, right? Because this is kind of serious. This is a team that offensively has been great, defensively has been great. Goaltending, what else is there to say about Connor Hellebuyck that hasn't already been said? On the St. Louis Blues side, as far as everything goes, they have been looking better than ever. They looked at the end of the season like the 2019 Blues, where they were fighting and clawing their way to victory, and they looked great. But something needs to be done tonight to call it. Now, by the time I'm done recording this, editing this, and uploading this, the St. Louis Blues, the Blues Jets series will be done. So we'll see how that goes. Also, something kind of fun to note and something that got announced today, or about a couple hours ago, I think, at the time of recording this, was that the Jets are calling up Braden Yeager for this game. That's going to be cool. Braden Yeager, who famously, I believe, was last offseason, was in a 1-for-1 trade. Originally a draft pick by the Pittsburgh Penguins. I believe he was 10th overall. I think he was top 10. I can't exactly remember, but he was a first-round pick by the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was involved in a 1-for-1 trade with the Winnipeg Jets. Braden Yeager going to the Jets, and on the way back to the Penguins was Rutger McGroarty, one of the best names in hockey, who fully believed that he wanted a chance at playing in the NHL because he deserved it. And the Jets said, well, we don't have space for you right now, so we're not going to worry about that. And then Rutger said, well, I want to trade. Okay. And I think the Jets got out of there with a pretty good piece in Braden Yeager. So maybe he makes maybe he, shows something tonight. That'd be cool, right? But we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to really make a prediction. I know I said I would, but I fully believe that the Jets will do it. We'll see. I don't want to really lock that in. I just want to see if things change tonight. And then if they do, maybe I'll make a video about it somewhere on here or TikTok or something. I don't know. We'll talk about that. Colorado and Dallas. We're going to Game 7. We are finally getting a Game 7 in this playoffs. And it's only round 1. Hooray. Right? You want to talk about poetry. Vigo ran in 1 goal and 3 assists in Game 5. Sorry, Game 6. That's what I meant. Yesterday was Game 6. And they still lost. The Colorado Avalanche are doing everything they can to survive. And they should. They have 2 of the best players in the world, Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon. They loaded like crazy at the trade deadline, getting guys like Brock Nelson. Bolstering their goaltending. What a far cry of a difference their goaltending is now compared to what it was last season with Georgiev, compared to what it was when they won the Cup, when it was Darcy Kemper. Here we are, right? Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood, and they're looking great. They're looking great. Jake Ottinger on the side of Dallas, though, looks better. And man, if Dallas had stepped up even a little more against the Colorado Avalanche, the series might have been over last night. But Colorado fought back. They won 7-4. 7-5. 7-4. Something like that. I know they scored 7 goals. And we're going to Game 7. I hate that one of these teams has to be gone this round. I hate this format for that reason. So, yeah. I don't know what to expect. It's probably going to be a bloodbath. It might go to overtime. It'll be fine. We need a Game 7 overtime. Nothing's better than a Stanley Cup playoff Game 7 overtime. You know what I mean? With that, though, maybe I should talk about the other series. Well, I'm going to make quick points. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make quick points about all the series that have been now decided for round 2. Because they're probably going to start soon. I think Florida-Toronto starts on Monday. I hate it. I miss when they used to wait until every series was done, then they start round 2, but I get it. Broadcasters want certain, it's a whole thing. I don't know. I'm not in that business. I wish I was, but sometimes I'm glad I'm not. 3 series so far have been decided for next round. Of course, we're waiting on the 4th being the Centrals, and them figuring that out. But for now, Washington and Carolina. If Carolina finds a way to shut down the Washington Capitals, that'll be fun. I don't know what they do about Tom Wilson, but they're going to need to be ready for the Washington Capitals because they are very, very hungry for another cup. I don't think Ovechkin cares anymore. He got the record. He got his cup. He's done. He got a Conn Smythe too. Whatever, right? But he still wants to win. So probably want to score a few goals here and there. They're going to have to figure that out. Carolina's great at not being able to, take bad penalties. They can draw great penalties. By the way, Rod Brind'Amour, I should have mentioned this earlier. Rod Brind'Amour, I think he's the first coach in NHL history or among a few coaches to have made the playoffs in each of his first 7 seasons as a head coach and make it past the first round. Good for you guys. I have a crazy, hilarious stat about the Hurricanes too that I'm not going to bring up. Maybe that's going to be for a short, but As far as Washington, Carolina goes, I think Washington wins that. I think they kick Carolina's ass, unfortunately. Sorry, Carolina. Thanks for coming. Vegas, Edmonton. Oh, Vegas, Edmonton. I love this so much. Once again, Eichel versus McDavid. Oh. I think Edmonton got fortunate with the way the momentum shifted against the Los Angeles Kings. But Stuart Skinner doesn't look great in net. Calvin Pickard, and Calvin Pickard's not bad, but Calvin Pickard's not, good, right? Aiden Hill hasn't been looking shaky. Well, that's a lie. Sorry, Aiden Hill has been looking a little shaky here and there, but I think he can do it. But Vegas is healthy. Pietrangelo, Hannafin, Hurdle, Stone, Eichel, Barbashev, Dorofiev, how do you pronounce his? I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Yeah, right. Carlson still looking solid. I think Vegas takes it. In how many games? I don't know, but this is gonna be a fight. Like, Edmonton's gonna have to figure this shit out fast on how to be more physically imposing than one of, if not the most physically imposing team in the NHL. And then, of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers. Leafs, congrats, you beat Ottawa. You fought your way through it. You definitely had some downs, but you found your ups, and you were good. The Florida Panthers might actually kill them. The now Brad Marchand armed Florida Panthers might actually kill the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I don't want to be pessimistic about this. I was actually very happy that the Leafs made it to the second round. But the fact that they now have to play the Panthers, it's, again, how do you out-muscle a team like the Florida Panthers? How do you out-fight? How do you out-goon? Not like that goon. Fucking weirdos. A team like the Panthers, when they're armed with guys like Seth Jones, Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett. It's funny that I started with Seth Jones because I was talking about goons and I started talking about actually like good goal scorers. But Bennett, Reinhart, Jones, Marchand, Kachuk, Barkov, who's probably going to win another Selke. Bobrovsky is looking incredible. Like, no, gone are the days of inconsistent Bobrovsky seasons. I think Florida takes that one. Probably in like 6, maybe 5. But we don't know. Anyway, there's been eulogies. There's been predictions. There's been short predictions. But this has been just talking about how teams are looking going forward. Like I said, the Stanley Cup Playoffs are my favorite time of the year. I just like talking about it. Like, sometimes half the things I say don't make sense. And sometimes everything's all over the place. And I think that's okay. All right? I'm not here to make content professional. Well, I would love to. It's not my full-time job. I wish it was sometimes, but I enjoy doing what I do outside of that. And I'm glad I get to have a medium to talk about this kind of stuff that I just really enjoy. So, let's see how the rest of the playoffs roll out. If you happen to come across this video and you like it, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. What's your favorite part of the Stanley Cup playoffs? Who's your favorite team? Who do you have wanting to win the cup? Who do you have winning the draft lottery? Nothing to do with this, but, things like that. But until then, this has been the Rashid Report. My name is Yusuf Rashid, and I will bid you adieu.